Welcome. So today we're going to talk about how to get started with the Arduino Uno coding. We're not going to code it directly. We're going to talk over code that already works. Then we'll come back and actually write this code out. So the beginning part, we're going to talk through three parts, these first 25 lines. And so the first line allows us to communicate and share information. Lines 2 through 9 are about the pins. And then we'll get into the setup, which is how we actually start those pins, the values we give them. There are two codes that we're going to talk through initially. This is one. This is just getting the motor driver to function in a way that we can see it and watch it. The second code is actually more in line with what we'll be doing big picture, because it'll include the Bluetooth and some of the other pieces. But this code is really good for understanding that central spine, the things that have to be here in order to control a motor. So we first start off by declaring the integers, which are the pin numbers in the Arduino. So we have a microcontroller. It has places where it can send and receive information and electricity. And what we are doing in this first setup is we know that motor A is going to need 3 wires. And so we're going to put those into pins 9, 8, and 7. And then motor B has 3 wires also, so we put those in 3, 5, and 4. And so the ENA and ENB, those are our pulse width modulation wires. The N1, N2, N3, and N4, that's how we're going to input the information into the motor driver. And so what we do when we set this up is we use pin mode to establish that these 6 pins on the Arduino are going to output information. So all of these outputs are going to the motor driver. So even though this code says pin mode and output over and over again, what it's saying is that ENA, the thing that we called pin number 9, that's going to go out. ENB, the thing that is actually pin number 3, that's information that's going to go out. And what we've done is name them using the things on the motor driver. So that way it's easy for us to understand. If we wanted to share this code with someone else, it's easy for them to understand. We've named pin number 4, for example, IN4. And the wire is going to go from the Arduino pin number 4 to the motor driver IN4. And in our code, it's just saying I'm talking to the motor driver. And by naming it IN4, we could have named it Elephantopolis, right? We could name it anything, but we're naming it IN4, so it's really clear that we are talking about a wire that's going to end up in IN4. What we do afterwards is we turn off the motors, so just in case something else was happening, if we had run this code previously and left the motors on, or if there was just some code hanging out in those memory locations that we had set aside, we're overriding it to say stop IN1, stop IN2, stop IN3, stop IN4. And again, those are just the names that we gave to pins 4, 5, 7, and 8. So we're stopping that information, and that way the motors that are attached to the motor driver are off. So we first declare the pins. We include this software serial, and that allows us to communicate from our computers to the Microsoft Arduino. It's a package that we want to include. Then we have our setup, where we talk about what's the output and how to initially set that amount of electricity and information that's flowing there. And then our loop is the key. So in the next video, we'll go into the loop and those functions. But what we wanted to do in this initial video is just get set up, understand that we can set pins to variable names. We use pin mode to describe what those pins are going to be doing. And the Arduino microcontroller takes this code, can store it on itself, and use it to execute our directions.